Okay. The body, a.k.a. nutrition, a.k.a. physical health.
A.k.a. body, yada, 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 yada. Do you get that reference, Jivan Das? Do you know that reference?
What is it?
Everybody out there listening gets that reference, I'm sure.
What is it?
It's Meg the Stallion. Do you know Megan the Stallion?
Of course, yes.
Oh, okay. She has a song called Body, and it goes, body, yada, 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 yada.
Is it appropriate? Is it appropriate for my ears?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
Definitely.
All right, I'll give it a listen. The last time someone told me about, I think it was Megan the Stallion or there was someone else, and it was really.
Was it WAP? Did they tell you about WAP?
I think that's what it was.
It was
something
Cardi
like
B, Meg the Stallion collab.
That I think might have been what it was.
Yeah. It's probably not a good. No, it's not brahmachari approved. You know, like they had the parental advisory explicit lyrics labels in the 90s. We need to have those for brahmachari. This is not brahmachari approved music. You just need to listen to the sitar.
15 of us.
Ganga Jaya Krishna Murti. That's what you have to listen to. You can't listen to WAP.
I like hip hop though, and I like stuff like that. It just makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You were eating a combo.
I was eating a combo.
I just outed you.
Is the singular of combos combo? Or it's like a Mentos? Or is it they're all combos?
I think it's
probably a combo.
Really?
Oh, we said
yeah, exact opposite. We didn't agree.
So, yeah. Well, the internet, I'm sure, holds the answer to this secret. But I was eating a combos, the delicious. Brought to you.
I think
our podcast brought to you by Combos. That would be a great sponsor. I would eat them all the time. I find them very delicious, and I only eat them when I travel. Like, do you have anything like that you only eat when you're traveling? You never eat
many
it
things
IRL, but yeah.
Many things. Well, I was just saying at LaGuardia they have, I guess it's Annie Ann's?
I think it's Auntie Anne's. Auntie Anne's, yeah.
Auntie Annie's?
Maybe
pretzels.
Auntie Annie's, yes.
The pretzels. They're warm and buttery, and you dip them in this liquid cheese. And I feel terrible after eating them, but they are so good on the way down.
Oh, I've never had that. I've never been compelled to eat those, but now maybe I will be. I also love sun chips when I'm traveling. For some reason, I just always want sun chips.
Do you remember when sun chips were healthy?
Yeah.
Like they came out. Remember when they came out? They were like, sun chips. And I remember my mom was like, we're going to eat these potato chips. They're healthy. And I was like, these taste like dirt. You know? And I was like all 15 and hated everything that my mom proposed. But now the sun chips are not so healthy.
No, I wouldn't consider them a healthy snack. But they're not also the worst. There's worse snacks that you could have. But they're not healthy, for sure.
What's the worst snacks that you have?
Oh.
Or the worst snacks out there, would you say?
Well, I was reminded when you said 15 and hated everything that they came out. I think it's off the market now, but do you remember Jolt?
Yes.
That shit was crazy. I don't know how they let that on the market. I remember being in high school or middle school. It was just like pure like sugar and Coca-Cola and like high fructose corn syrup and like taurine or whatever's in Red Bull. I don't know. That made you crazy. I don't know what was in it. I just know it was called Jolt, and you would drink it, and you'd go crazy. You'd have so much energy. Oh, man. I'd get that in, like, some Funyuns or something after school.
Oh, Funyuns.
There was a bodega right on my corner that we used to go to. What do I eat now? What's the worst thing that I eat now?
Yeah, what's the worst?
Let's go. Let's dig deep here.
Let's go there.
Ooh, okay.
We're going there today, yeah.
I was kind of ashamed about my combos. I didn't want you to know what I was eating because I felt like you might judge me because you're drinking like a green smoothie. The worst thing that I eat. Ooh, like on the regular. Oh,
like maybe a guilty pleasure or something.
Okay. Yeah. You know what I just discovered somehow? Because they were in my LA house. Somebody buys all the snacks because it's also the office. So it was filled with like hot Cheetos and all these things I don't like hot Cheetos because I don't like spicy things. But there was, what are they called? I think they're maybe called Cheetos. Wait, are Cheetos crunchy and small or Cheetos fluffy and... They were cheese puffs. No,
cheesy puffs. Cheese puffs.
Yeah, but what
those are the big. Those are the big puffy ones.
Oh my God, yeah. Those were so incredible. I was like, how did I live 41 years without eating these things? They were very puffy and cheesy and buttery.
Yes.
Oh my
light.
God.
They're light.
Cheetos
so
puffs.
When you crunch
this was them. Cheetos.
Oh, they're Cheetos puffs. Oh, Cheetos. They pivoted to puffs.
Oh, is this not always been their brand?
No, Cheetos are they're like little hard, crunchy. They look like orange dead insects.
Yes,
one could say.
like hard cheese doodles, crunchy cheese doodles.
Yes,
I think is also
exactly.
the same.
Yes.
Yeah. Fuck.
Okay, a cheese puff.
What's
Those
your
are great.
worst? Those are really good, but I didn't feel guilty. I felt excited that I had discovered a new snack.
Liberated.
Yeah, I don't judge myself about food like that. But we can talk more about it. What's your worst?
I'm trying to think. I mean, pizza. I mean, it's not very good. This isn't very good content. It's like pizza or like a veggie burger with French fries. I do eat an absurd amount of French fries. That's kind of like the worst thing I eat, like a plateful that's like a mountain of French fries. Like, I think I could eat French fries consistently throughout my life, like without ever having to stop, because I eat them and digest at the same time, and they're so delicious. So
they are delicious.
I eat a mountain of French fries. I think that's as bad as it gets.
You need to live more.
I know.
Do you know what I did last weekend?
Tell me.
I did several shots of Don Julio, which is a tequila.
What's that?
It's a tequila. I'm not a big drinker like that. It was really good. It was very smooth. And I was like, oh, this isn't interesting. No, it went down very smooth. And I don't really like the taste of alcohol. Yeah, I had a lime. But I was like, I haven't done shots since I was like, I don't know, like a kid. Like, I know that sounds weird, but it's true. Like a child. Like that's what I would do. We would go out when I was like 13 to this Mexican restaurant on University and 12th Street that for some reason just would just serve us. And we drink like margaritas and do tequila shots. I remember I would do so many tequila shots that I couldn't hold my head up, and I had like I got like a cut on my head from where my head hit the toilet because I was just like throwing up so much, and then I never drank tequila again until last weekend when I did a hot shot of Don Julio, and I was like, that's good stuff. I know that's not monk appropriate content, but we're just keeping it real here on.
That's okay. Podcast. I think I've actually had a more recent tequila shot than you prior to last weekend. Yeah,
right.
I used to love getting drunk on tequila shots.
Oh, really?
Yeah, totally.
I never
do round
got
after
into
round.
That. Ooh,
yeah.
I don't know. It's never been my thing. Wow.
Oh, maybe. Interesting. Okay. That's your worst thing. Your worst thing's a lot worse than my worst thing. There's got to be something. I'll text you the next time I have something bad.
Okay.
Do a selfie with a big smile on my face.
Okay, good.
Pre and post.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I like it.
Yeah. What's your vibe? What's your relationship with food? Like, how's food for you? Let's start with food before we maybe go to the body. Let's talk about food.
Well, they're so related, right? But also distinct.
Yes.
So my mom is a therapist, and she specializes in eating disorders. And that's always been her field of expertise, ever since I was a kid. Even it was very, in the early 80s, it wasn't as big of an industry as it is now. Or just, it wasn't, there weren't that many therapists that dealt with that. And I think it wasn't as known, ubiquitous. At least it was definitely happening, but it wasn't in the public consciousness in the way it was. My mom was really a pioneer, prolific in that movement. And so as the child of someone who specialized in eating disorders, my mom always was very conscious around how she had me relate to food. So for example, she would never use food as a reward or as punishment. I never had to clean my plate. She always taught me to feed my hunger and to really listen to what my body wanted and the intuition of my body. Yeah, even a long time ago. And so, if I was a kid and I was like, my mom was like, well, what do you want for dinner? And I was like, cookies. She'd be like, go ahead, eat cookies for dinner. And then I would eat like a whole bag of cookies. And I'd be like, I feel sick. She's like, well, maybe you shouldn't eat cookies for dinner. And so
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was her whole philosophy. And so my mom, talks about, there was one time we were out, I was in high school and we were at a diner with my friend Blake for brunch, and I was looking at the big menu and I was like, what do I want? Do I want something crunchy or something like soft? And my mom was like teared up. She was so proud that she had taught me to think of food in that way, to listen to what my body wanted in that way.
Wow.
I think especially as a woman, like my mom and also my grandmother, my great grandmother, all being raised in society has a lot to do with, food and dieting and yo-yo dieting and gaining weight and losing weight. And then for me to emerge from that, in a way, I feel like I have a very, good relationship with food in that way. I'll just eat, I'll listen to what my body wants and give it that. And sometimes I'll eat things that aren't healthy, but I eat very healthy, like most of the time, and I don't beat myself up about it. And so I think that that's really a testament to my mom and her very strategic way that she raised me to relate to food.
Wow. That's amazing. That's so rare to have someone educate you from a very young age, educate kids from a very young age on like listening to their body. And like, I've never heard of a parent saying, you want cookies? Okay, have cookies for dinner. And then experiencing the natural result of that and then realize for yourself, like, I'm not going to eat just cookies for dinner again. Or at least until I forget about that. That's amazing.
It is, and it's interesting. I don't think I realized it until much later in life that was unusual. But a lot of my friends suffered from, actually my closest friend in the world, my best friend, suffered for a long time with an eating disorder. And I never had an eating disorder. And I think that was, and I have always had quite positive body image. Of course, I'm like, I would want to lose a little weight around here, that. But in general, I've been happy with the way my body looks. I don't like... and I think that is also a testament to my mom's strategic parenting when it comes to that.
Right. Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah. What about you? How's your relationship to food? How would you describe it?
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I don't really have to think about that much. This is one of those things. I was talking to another friend yesterday, actually, and there are a lot of things that I think a lot of people have a hard time with, that some of those common things I don't, and one of those things is food. The other thing is like working out. Like I love working out and love being physically active, and so that's not a hard thing. But writing a book is something I suck at and need a lot of support with. So anyway, so with food, like you, I'm trying to think historically. Right now, I have to eat things that taste good. But what's interesting is that as I started coming out of my comfort zone around, like because I used to, what did I used to eat for breakfast? I used to eat like eggs every day for breakfast, like eggs and toast. And I was a part of that whole, like, I have to have protein, like that kind of BS thing that like you have to have protein to actually like gain muscle and to be healthy and all that, which I don't think is actually true. But I used to like eat eggs and had to have eggs for breakfast every day and like a big breakfast, and that whole, I think it's a myth that like breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I don't know if that's actually true, but anyway, I started drinking juice for breakfast and drinking like lemon water the first thing when I got up, a quart of lemon water. And then I started drinking like a quart of celery juice at like an hour or two after that. And it was really confronting not only the belief that I had about what my body needed, but also like what my body actually needed. And so as I started drinking juice, this was a couple of years ago, I actually it took like a month or so of like pushing the comfort zone, but then afterwards my body, like I could tell that my body really liked having that. It might be intermittent fasting, but just drinking liquids until like 10 or 11, and I felt more energized and more happy actually, and not as sluggish. And so I've realized that my desire for things to taste good has broadened into how it feels. Like here's the distinction. How things feel in my body is equally, if not more important than how they taste going in. Right? Which is really interesting. Like, because I don't actually like the taste of celery juice sometimes, but I take it I drink it and my body loves it and I feel so good. And that in like kind of retroactively, you could say like influences my experience of it. So even though it doesn't taste the best going down, it feels amazing inside, like what it does to me. And so that broadening of awareness affects what I put in, right? And then like you, I make pizza once a week. And my body doesn't love the way pizza feels in my body with like excessive amounts of cheese and wheat and other things like that. But it's fine. It's just like I feel a little
Why
bit
did you say
crummy.
like you? Because I almost never eat pizza.
No, like you eat things that are not great for you sometimes and you don't feel guilty about it. That's what I was saying.
Right.
Yeah. Like I just eat things that are tasty and I know aren't good for my body, but I don't, it's like not a big deal.
But that's like, also life. I just
feel like,
I mean, food is so much. I agree with you, and I think there is a difference between like our everyday routine and also like living life out there in the world, because I think that routine is incredible. And I've been on that before, like of the lemon water and the celery juice. And I, for breakfast, have always like fruit with dried mulberries in it and like a little bit of oat milk. That's what I eat every day in my routine for breakfast. Nice. But there's also a difference of like when there's maybe somebody in town and we go out to like a dinner at a really nice restaurant. Like there's this one restaurant in New York in Soho that has the best truffle pizza. We went there and had some truffle pizza, and it was like, I'm not eating truffle pizza every day. I mean, I wouldn't want to eat truffle pizza every day. Sorry, I just debated in my mind for a second. Would I want to eat truffle pizza every day? I don't think I would. But like, that you reminded me, because I, again, almost never eat pizza, but like having a slice or two of a truffle pizza was part of like the enjoyment and the experience of life to me. And I think that's also why I'm not rigid with my food identity, meaning that I eat primarily plant-based, and I'm not typically attracted to wanting to eat like an animal carcass, but I would not say I'm a vegetarian or even a pescatarian, because those IAN words are identity words, right? Like a veterinarian or something. I'm not that identity. I just eat whatever feels right to me, and I don't want to put those boundaries on it, because it may be that I see a cheeseburger and I'm like, you know what? I feel like eating a cheeseburger one day, and I will, because I'm listening to what my body wants. And I also don't want to get so strict with my diet that I can't be in the world in a way that I want to be in the world. Like, for instance, because I travel a lot, I travel to West Africa, very often. I haven't because of COVID, but I would go almost every year. And in West Africa, in Guinea, you just don't eat. If you're completely vegetarian, then, and our beloved friend Selena, God bless her, she's totally vegetarian there. She just eats white rice. Like, that's really all you can eat. Like white rice and then like maybe some salad, but salad is a little iffy if you don't know where exactly it's coming from, because it's raw. So there also, if you're invited to somebody's house and they serve you chicken or beef for them is a very, very big deal, because it costs money. So if you go to a ceremony and they give you a plate and everyone eats off the same plate with rice and meat, it's like, to say no to that is not up. I don't want to do that in those situations. I want to be able to eat that in those moments, because that's more important to me than having those rigid boundaries. And also there, the food is so like literally it's like running around one moment and then it's like on the plate the next moment. So there's not refrigeration. So they're not like refrigerating anything.
Right.
So it's like basically just alive. So it's like there's a very, direct connection between the animal and when you're eating it. It's not like filled with hormones and, frozen and then unfrozen and then God knows what is in it, that kind of thing.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking about India when you were talking about Guinea, and when I'm in India, I eat 3 meals a day because they're prepared for us.
Yes, exactly.
And it's like, it's the same thing. It's just like, I would normally eat juice, for breakfast, but they serve these like delicious like meal, and I'm like, oh great. And then there's lunch, and then there's dinner, and I usually eat like 1 meal a day at home. So there is something about just being flexible, I think, within ourselves. And I was also thinking about my mom and my dad and how I was raised and educated around food. And growing up in Wisconsin, we drank lots of milk and ate lots of cheese and lots of meat. And it's interesting because I was curious on your thoughts on like being a vegetarian or eating meat, or like what you can notice there. Because I stopped eating meat a few years ago before I was a monk, because even though my body, I think my blood is O positive, which I think is called hunter's blood or something. It's like you should eat lots of meat apparently. And even though, this is really interesting, even though I craved meat a lot throughout my adult life, and it felt really good in my body, stepping away from it and becoming a monk was like a challenge at first. But now I just give my body sort of like what I know is good for it, and it has adapted. It's really interesting. It doesn't like, so I sort of challenge that, like for me anyway, like my body needs meat. And like when I would go to doctors or naturopaths, they'd be like, oh, you're not eating meat? Like you need to eat meat. And I was like, no, I'm not going to eat meat. I don't want to. And my body is amazing. Like it feels great. I feel vibrant and alive and healthy every day because I give my body really good things that are primarily fruits and vegetables with like a meal of rice and beans, in various forms each day. So I just think that there's something to absolutely listening to our body, but there's also something about like whenever I'm in the airport in Denver, there's a huge line at Chick-fil-A and McDonald's, and people love Chick-fil-A and McDonald's, man. I mean, the boys in the wilderness, they're always like, "Oh, Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A." And I took some boys out to lunch when I was visiting them in Salt Lake a couple months ago, and I was like, "Where do you guys want to go?" They're like, "Oh, Chick-fil-A, bro." And I was like, "Okay, what are you gonna get?" They literally both got 2 chicken burgers or whatever with like a wheat patty and a thing of chicken. I was like, no lettuce, tomato? Does that taste good? They're like, no, I don't want any of that. I don't need any of that. So I think there's something to like giving the body what it wants, but also like giving it good things that we use common sense around, like fruits and vegetables are really good for our bodies.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally. It's a lifestyle, like the way that we... Just all of that. It's an expression of our lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
The what we put into our bodies, the what we do with our bodies, all of that kind of stuff. It's a reflection of how we exist in the world in many ways, right?
I remember someone told me once, I thought it was very amazing, but I guess it's kind of common sense, that we, like what we put in our bodies becomes us. Like that's what we are on a level, right? Physically, there's nothing else that we're putting in other than maybe air or water. Right? That we become, you are what you eat, I guess. That's where that saying comes from. I suppose maybe it's not that mind blowing, but yeah, that's pretty interesting.
It is, and I wonder. The interesting thing is that we don't get immediate. I mean, maybe we get nuanced, immediate feedback from our bodies, but in the broader sense, we don't really get feedback from our bodies until like down the road. Right? It's like we can just be eating some sort of way, and if that's just way we were raised to eat and are used to eating, we're just eating that way until some point where maybe something happens, right? We have heart disease, or who knows what happens. But I wonder if we were able to get that kind of immediate feedback, if it would be different. Like if we had a monitor on us that was like, we ate something and it would be like 3 out of 10, right? And it was like a red thing, and they were like, uh-oh. And if you ate, it was like 10 out of 10, and you're like, oh. I bet we would be more, I bet people would eat healthier.
Why do you think people don't eat healthy? Like, why do you think people eat like I don't know, fast? I mean, there's a economic component to it around what's affordable, for sure. And why do you think certain people, or why do you think us? I don't know. Why do you think certain people don't eat healthy? Like, what do you think that is about?
I mean, I think there's
maybe that's an unhelpful question. Yeah.
Let's postulate on what other people do things. I mean, I guess one would be, like you're saying, the cost of eating healthy, the access to eating healthy. So some people live in food deserts or just don't have access to fruits and vegetables in that kind of way. Maybe like the knowledge and the education around what is healthy. Because I feel that sometimes. Like, I'm like, okay, I get that some things, it's obvious that like fruits and vegetables are healthy, right? And fast food is not. But it's more nuanced than that. And I'm like, okay, well, is this healthy or not healthy to eat? I'm not always sure about certain things. So I think there's like an education component. And then I think there's just like again, like a lifestyle choice. It's like, this is what I like. This is what I'm used to. This is what makes me feel good. This is how I was raised to eat culturally also is another thing. You know, I was talking to someone from my office yesterday who's Ghanaian, and she was just talking about, there was something I was talking about eating, and she was just like, oh, wow, we never eat, that's never been in my household ever, because we just don't eat like that. You know, we eat a lot of stuff with oils and with rice, and just culturally what people eat. So I don't know, why do you think?
Well, I think
you're the psychologist, for the record.
I know.
Therapist.
Psychotherapist. I appreciate what you say more oftentimes because it's so real, down to earth, practical life experience as opposed to
ungrounded
ideas.
In
I don't know, ideas about things. So I'm not an expert in eating and food, relationship with food for folks, certainly. But I think our culture is addicted to comfort. And I think food is an expression of comfort for most people in this country in particular. And I think I remember hearing a statistic recently that obesity is at its highest it's ever been in our culture ever. And I think you're right that there are components about education. And I think there's this starts a conversation around programming and how we're programmed by not only mass media, but by our environment, our parents, our friends, our culture, and how we're programmed. And when we don't look at what our programming actually is, then we just become a bit of like a robot and just do what we've always been taught to do, much like I was in my life, certainly, and still am in many ways that I'm not aware of, I'm sure. And I think our culture in particular loves being comfortable. I think
the immediate gratification.
Oh,
I definitely am like
being
that.
uncomfortable, right? Yeah.
Or it's like, I want it, so I'm gonna have it. Like comfort and gratification are definitely cousins. I don't know that they're the exact same thing,
right.
But that kind of instant gratification. It's like, I want something that's chocolate, and then it's like, I'm gonna eat something that's chocolate, and then I eat it, and it's like, yeah, I did that, or I want more, because it's that, like, we can have access to all of those things in that way.
Yes.
Whereas in other places, you're like, I want an ice cream sandwich, and you're like, well, sorry, you can't have an ice cream sandwich because you live in the middle of the desert, and they don't exist here. So it's not like, it's just not an option. And you're right. I think that is part of what makes us like so comfortable all the time, or very like not able to deal with being uncomfortable.
I went to my local grocery store. It's got this terrible name. It's called Vitamin Cottage Natural Grocers. They have two names in one. It's a terrible name. Their branding is awful. It's like children's drawings is their branding. Bad children's drawings. I love going there though because they have great food and it's kind of small. And I also realized that I get very overwhelmed going in grocery stores where I don't know where things are, so I avoid them.
That's real talk.
Is that common?
Real talk for me, for sure. If I have to go, or in any kind of store, if I don't know, like a CVS or like a drugstore or a Target, it's like I would much rather go to one where I know where things are because it's just more efficient. I waste time trying to figure out where things are.
Well, I also realize I don't like it. Like I'm looking around, I'm like, I don't know where something. This is a good bridge, a dovetail from the comfort talk, the comfort conversation. I'm like, I don't know where that is. I don't want to go there. And I just went in to get I had this little wart thing on the back of my hand. I don't even know what it was, but some friend told me that I should try to freeze it off with the freeze off, thing. And I went in there and I was walking around and I was like, where is it? And I suddenly became so freaking impatient. I'm a pretty patient person most of the time, and I was like, where is it? And I looked around, there was no workers walking around. I was like, where is everybody? Inside of myself, I was like, I can't find this. I can't find what I'm looking for. And that I'm realizing I remember that because I just went to the grocery store and I was quite upset they didn't have oat milk.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know.
Oat milk is like the heroin of like, yuppies. Oh my God. When there was an oat milk shortage, do you drink Oatly, the gray kind, the barista
I love
blend?
that kind. Yes.
Best kind. There was a shortage last year and Brooklyn was like up in arms. People were like freaking out. They were like, "What?" There's something about that oat milk. Yeah, real talk. I fly with it. I'm not even kidding. I fly with that. Or any place I'm going in the. I didn't bring it to Mexico, but I brought it. I bring it to LA all the time. I double bag it.
You put it in checked luggage? You put it in the checked?
I double bag it in a Ziploc bag, and I put it in my luggage because that's how much I'm like. I can't be arriving in a place and then searching the city for Oatly. I don't have time for that. I need to just bring it with me. People are like, did you bring this? I'm like, yes, I did bring this. I did. I do fly with it. I'm not even kidding. Oh, that's how not unwilling to be uncomfortable I am. That's next level. I feel vulnerable now. I've said too much. Let's edit this part out.
I'm so glad your vulnerability brings my joy. I'm so glad we got the oat milk on this. Yeah.
What happens to you when they don't have it at Natural Village Vitamin Cottage Natural Grocers?
That's exactly it. Natural Cottage
Doesn't
Village.
Really roll off the tongue.
No. It's terrible. But they're great. What they offer is fantastic. I just realized, I'm just going back to this comfort thing. I got upset they didn't have the Oatly, the exact thing you're talking about. Oatly Barista Blend. It's so good. It's thick, hearty. God. It's like a whipping cream almost. It's like a dairy whipping cream almost.
Preaching to the choir. Preaching to the choir. It's unparalleled in oat milk. Like I'll go to coffee somewhere and I'll be like, "Do you have Oatly?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "You know what? I'm good." Or I'll just be like, "Put in regular milk." I don't even want to. I don't want to fucks with your other oat milk because it's gonna be runny and trash.
Runny and it disperses. I don't know what that's called, but it like kind of comes apart.
Oh, it like uncongeals.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
and reverse
or whatever.
congealing. Yeah.
Ugh.
I know.
Yuck.
I know. So I don't know where this was going, but I was definitely describing my discomfort with not having the type of oat milk that I wanted. Oh, it was just going back to how we don't like being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We as humans don't like being uncomfortable. And I could say that it would be a lie, but I could picture a version of myself saying, I don't mind being uncomfortable because I live in a world that is very different from my value set around how I'm living as a celibate monk. But that would be untrue because I love being comfortable, as exemplified by Natural Grocers, aka Natty G, being out of oat milk.
We all do. We all do. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Body, yaddy, 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 yaddy. But hey, there is a dance that goes with it, and I feel
there?
Yeah, there's a special dance
that
goes with it.
Okay.
It's like, well, nobody can see us right now, but it's like, or I guess if they're watching the video, they can. But it's like, it's like a pumping motion, and then your legs are just like doing the like in and out knees, and then you're pumping up and down. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Megan and Cardi, fantastic. Yeah. All right. Amazing. I'll see you out there, Megan. See you out there, Cardi.
Boy, bye.